All right, now we're going to take a look at question B for the DigitList FRQ. Okay, so for this question, the question says write the digits method is strictly increasing. The method returns true if the elements of digit list appear in strictly increasing order. Otherwise, it returns false. A list is considered strictly increasing if each element after the first is greater than but not equal to the preceding element. Okay, so again, let's take a look at the clues. This says the method returns true. So returns true is going to be our return value. True or false values are returned by a Boolean value. Okay, so the return type there should be Boolean. The next conditional is the next hint is going to be if the elements. That implies a conditional. What we're going to be doing is comparing these two elements together inside of an if statement. This also has a hint here for appear in strictly increasing order. For these two values, or for the whole values to be increasing as we progress, I like to call that a trend. So I'll refer to this as a trending algorithm. And the way that works is we compare the first element to its next neighbor, and if it gets bigger or smaller, then it's a trend. And then if we continue the process with a loop and it continues that trend, then we have what we need. Okay, so let's take a look at the method heading, and we'll be able to see some other information. Again, a lot of this we were able to pull from the instructions, but notice how it says public Boolean. So again, it's going to return a true or a false. So make sure you include that in your method implementation, and that's pretty much it for this one. Okay, so let's also look at the examples. Sometimes in the code or in the instructions, they'll provide examples in a table, and we'll be able to kind of figure out exactly how it's going to work. So number one was pretty straightforward. There's just one number, so one number is going to be increasing, so it returns true. Okay, the next thing to consider there, though, is when it says digits 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, our question A was able to get it to where it's 1, then 3, then 5, then 6, actually. So now what we need to do is create some sort of algorithm that will check is 1 less than 3, and is 3 less than 5, and is 5 less than 6, or something similar to that to make sure it is going to be increasing. Okay, so when you think about the logic for case 2, it's important to understand that we're looking for a stop point. Okay, so when you're thinking about how things trend, there's a couple ways that you can test this. If you test if I is less than I plus 1 or the next element, it could return true, ending the loop after one time. This essentially is just testing is 1 less than 3. If 1 is less than 3, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. However, it only tests that one operation. So a better way to evaluate this is testing when we should stop, because if all of these numbers are increasing, that means we would have made it to the end. So it's important to not exclude any of these comparisons, and we're actually going to look for the opposite in these trends. So what we want to do is say is element 0 greater than element 1, or in this case, is 1 greater than 3. That's not true. Okay, so we won't do anything there. However, if this were opposite and 3 came before 1, is 3 greater than 1? Yes, it is. So if that's the case, it is not strictly increasing. So at that point, we know the answer is going to be false. So go ahead and stop the execution and just say false. Okay, so that one is a little tricky. But again, if you think about trending, you want to make sure that you evaluate every opportunity. Don't stop too soon. So we're going to look at the opposite, or for reasons that would cause it to fail. Another thing that could cause us to fail is we do want to use an if statement here, but since there is a true or a false, a lot of times we'll think, Well, if we're using an if for the false, then we should use a else for the true. But that's not true. Remember, in a find algorithm, you want to delay returning the output until everything has been evaluated. So that's after the for loop. So if we make it all the way to the end of the for loop without having a false occur, then we can go ahead and return it's true at the end of the loop, but not in an else statement. All right, hope that helps.